Welcome, everyone. Scarvin Spikes, Sydney, Tyler, and Henry with you as we talk about Chris Henderson's introductory press conference as Atlanta United's chief soccer officer, technical director. Tyler, you were there, so let's start right off the bat with your initial impressions.
Initial impression. I mean, I think we've kind of seen if you've ever seen Chris Henderson in press conferences before. I mean, seems like a super nice guy. We didn't really get like any one-on-one time with him this time around. I'm sure that'll happen in the future, but you got to remember this was just like the introductory press conference. Like, hey, my name is Chris. I'm coming from Miami and Seattle. But no, I mean, super, well-spoken guy. He's been here for just like over 24 hours, and he talked about kind of some of the conversations they've had about the situation that Atlanta's in with like DPs and like these open spots that they want to really hit on, and kind of talked about U22s and just jumped kind of all over like the entire Atlanta United ecosystem. But I mean, he seems, just from the conversation that we all had with him in the press conference, he has an idea. He has some concepts that he wants to hit on. And I mean, he's got the right group around him to hit on them. But also, you have to remember, he's been here for a day. So we'll kind of let the proof be in what he's done in Miami and Seattle, and then go forward and hopefully do the same thing with Atlanta.
Henry, I know you're monitoring some of the reaction on social media, some of the tweets that are coming out from Tyler and others. One thing that kind of stood out, and we were talking about this before we came on, was the coaching search. And it sounds like, and not to deviate too much off of what Henderson said, but it sounds like it's going to maybe extend a little bit longer for a couple more weeks. We were talking, it makes it sound like Curtin was a candidate. Of course, we have no inside knowledge, but it sounds like he may have been a candidate. But it sounds like they're down to their top two candidates. Henderson, I saw, did speak to both candidates, he said. So I guess what do you guys what's your reaction on that and what Henderson said about it?
Henry, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was, didn't he say 2 weeks ago? Yeah, look, Garth did warn us that he was going to be deliberate, he was going to be slow, he was going to take his time with these decisions. And you know what? As long as they get the right guy in place, take as long as you need. Obviously, we need him before the start of preseason. So preferably, I hope it doesn't go much longer than those 2 weeks, man, because in 2 weeks, we're already at the end of the month. Like a few weeks after that, you're already reporting for preseason. Mm-hmm. So ideally, you have that coach in place sooner rather than later, whoever it is, because, if it's not Jim Curtin, I really don't know what other candidates there are available at this point. Savarese, I've thrown that one out. People don't really seem to like him too much. I guess at this point you could also start looking abroad and into other high-profile coaches. I mean, there's plenty of coaches looking for jobs right now, or maybe you're trying to poach one from another team. I don't know. Maybe within MLS, maybe outside. There's plenty of options that could lead this team. But at the end of the day, Garth did say that he wants the GM, technical director, chief soccer officer, I guess is the title, to work well with the new head coach, whoever that they are. So now that you know who your chief soccer officer is, your director of soccer, football, whatever, now you know kind of who you have to pair that person up with, right? The person that you're looking at to be the head coach. So I'm very curious, because that opens the door now to pretty much anyone's on the table. But hopefully we do hear some rumors in the next few days, in the next week or so, because that's the anticipation is killing me, man. Yeah. And I know it's killing the fans too, and the fans aren't going to be happy to hear, another couple of weeks before we hear about a head coach. I already see some of the comments on social media, and you know what? They're right to an extent. Like, we've been looking for a coach since June.
Right.
And it's almost 6 months for a coaching search is crazy, man. But hey, we're closer than ever. That's what I keep telling myself.
We're closer than we were 6 months ago.
Exactly.
I think Garth, it is not lost on him. He made the comment specifically, like, I told y'all from the beginning, I was probably going to frustrate a lot of people because of how deliberate I am. Those words. And to be fair, those were his words back then. He hasn't changed. He hasn't deviated from what he said. And, in talking with him today, like, I get the feeling like, it's pretty much a decision at this point. Of course, you never know the stuff that's going to go on behind the scenes that has to be done properly before any kind of official announcement can be made or whatever. And we already know, like, rumors are much harder to come by with Atlanta United nowadays. That's just how it is. But I get it from a fan perspective. It's like, oh man, I just want to see like that next step. But he started off the press today specifically with, this is the first real step in the offseason. Like, this was the big first step that needed to happen. Now the coach, the DPs, and Chris Henderson, he spoke to the DP situation. He said he wants to get all these players in as early as possible because he wants them to have the advantage of a preseason with their teammates. And, it's a little bit more so right in this offseason because you have so much turnover. There's going to be a lot of getting to know people for these new players coming in and for the ones that are already here. So, I think for both of them, it's not lost. Like, the urgency, they know that it has to happen. But Garth specifically, he continues to say, like, it's methodical. I'm being very deliberate. He was like, I'm excited about getting this coach in place because this is the last step in kind of developing, and kind of redefining the club. I can't remember if he used the word rebuild or not, but he was very adamant that, like, the guys that he's brought in, having everybody have their opinion on the new signings, the new DPs, everything else. Like, that's going to be over a century's worth of experience to say, like, hey, this guy that we're looking at as a possible DP, we all kind of agree, that he could have an impact here. And he was like, we could do that and still get it wrong. But, like, the likelihood of you getting it right when you have, a guy that's got 20 years in a front office role, a guy that's got, head coaching and front office role, like all this stuff, there's so many factors that help them make the decision. So it's not just like, oh, well, the scouting department says he's good, let's go get him. It's our scouting department has found him. Now let's get everybody's opinion from different aspects of MLS and world soccer. And do we be the right guy?
Yeah. And Garth used the term deliberate. He's used it, like you said, Tyler, numerous times. And, it's not just going to be, we'll grab the first thing that's available. They're going to do their due diligence. And it might be frustrating in a way, but long term, it sounds like a very good strategy because you're really looking for the players that fit your team and fit the archetype that you want. I want to hit on real quick one thing Henderson said about U22s because I know that's been a big topic of discussion. Going back to real quick, what Garth said, something about U22s, and we talked about it beforehand, is he said something about they cleared the books as far as U22s are concerned. So I guess we can kind of read the tea leaves and say that Edwin Mosquera is not too far or not too long for a new club. It sounds like there have been rumors out of Colombia saying that he could be returning there, at least on loan. So it sounds like his time with the club could be running short. But Henderson, Tyler, I'll kick it off with you, said, the club has to be selective for U22s, and we know what Garth Lagerwey has said about them. I imagine Henderson will have a similar approach to U22s and what they're used for to construct a roster. Sounds like Garth Lagerwey is more not going to say against the idea of U22s, but he's more selective, which is again what Chris Henderson said. So at least it sounds like they're aligned on that in that regard.
I think from what Henderson said, they're both going to be pretty selective and kind of like if they use those spots and if they do, then who? Like they're not going to just do it just to do it. Is kind of the vibe I got. But he said one thing that's really important, like about being selective, is everybody has to come here with the understanding that they all have to contribute. They all have a part to play. And for 22s, they need the right mentors ahead of them. So, like, if a player isn't going to fit that whole mold in terms of, like, coming here, being able to learn from more experienced players and also go out on the pitch and provide meaningful minutes, I don't think you're going to see those kind of moves happen. So, it just, to me, indicates not that they're, I mean, look, they're a roster mechanism that's there. Like, they're going to be used in some way, shape, or form at some point. But do I think that they're going to start off 2025 with 3 U22s? Probably not. But that's not to say they're not looking. They're just going to be very picky, because there's no use in going and finding a player that might work out just for the sake of doing it. And then they're just going to take up a roster spot and sit around a lot of the ways that we've seen with U22s in Atlanta so far.
Yeah. Henry?
Yeah. When the end of season roster decisions came out and we had the chance to talk to Garth, I did ask him about the U22s and how he saw them being used for Atlanta United in the future. And he said, they do have their value because they're a good way to add depth to the squad. And to an extent, from what I could understand from the not great press conference that, the video that we had, from what I could understand, Chris Henderson also kind of views the U22s in that light, and in the sense of, you need to add depth to the squad, in order to succeed in MLS and these other competitions that you're going to have. You need to have quality depth, and Chris Henderson has, the experience from building a good U22 base at Inter Miami.
Yeah.
He set the stage for what later became, Messi and friends coming over, but he set the stage for them, and he did a good job with that. And I'm sure he'll do a good job here or in Atlanta as well. But yeah, as far as the U22s go, I don't expect them to go and sign 3 U22s this window either. But I also don't expect them to sign 0 U22s. I think, Garth mentioned that they are a way of adding depth, but it's potential that you're betting on. And so you need to be very careful with it, or you'll end up with an Eric Lopez situation, right? A contract that's on the books for, 2-3 years or whatever, that you can't get rid of because no one wants them.
Yeah.
And so you have to use a buyout, and then you're out of a buyout, which you could have used on someone else, right? And it's unfortunate, right? So, no, I think the U22 situation, it's going to be more efficient going forward. It's going to be, they're going to have more discretion with it because they are very useful roster spots. But I do think that they will use them. And I wrote a little bit about that in the column I wrote this morning, that I do think that one of the U22s will potentially go to a winger or a striker, some type of young forward that could fit behind whoever you're bringing in at those spots. But we'll see. I definitely think, though, that with Chris Henderson in place, you're going to see the transfer rumors ramping up a little bit more. You're going to see some more action, potentially, likely even before the coaches announced or rumored or leaked or whatever. I feel like, especially because you have the reentry draft and you have the super draft coming this week, you'll get names there. But even like for your DP slots and stuff, if they really want to get them in before preseason, and remember, you've got visa watch to worry about, you probably want to start getting those ironed out quickly. So we'll see. I expect us to hear some stuff on that front pretty soon.
And just quickly, the U22 thing, Inter Miami, their U22s were Tomas Alvarez, Diego Gomez, and Facundo Farias. And Gomez and Alvarez have performed at a very high level for Inter Miami. I'm sorry, Gomez and Alvarez. Farias, unfortunately, dealt with injuries in 2024 in ACL, so he was not able to play. But in 2022, played in 11 matches. So maybe you can kind of look at the tea leaves and see what Henderson's approach, as you were saying, Henry, will be with those U22s.
Let me add the whole like U22 in depth thing. Chris Henderson said specifically, like, I think we talked about it a little bit before, but he wants the depth to be that to where Atlanta can go and compete in every competition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever tournaments Atlanta's playing in next year, whether it's, Leagues Cup, Open Cup, etc., add in whatever,
Right.
we come up with. He wants the depth to be there again, to where everybody is having impactful minutes. It doesn't need to be that you have guys that are just kind of sitting there eating up space on a roster and aren't really contributing in meaningful ways. And Garth has kind of hinted at that a little bit too. But I will say, like, Garth is thoroughly excited about the coach, whoever it may be, and he is arguably more excited about the striker situation, because he said, like, we're looking to bring in a massively impactful striker.
Okay,
I
so
don't know who
it's
that
Pep
is.
in Holland. It's Pep in Holland. We already know this, guys. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Announce it already. A
You heard it
package
here
deal
first.
with Man City.
You heard it here first.
Let's go. But no,
Yeah.
it'll be fun to see. I mean, I do hate, I'm not a patient person by nature, but like, I would much rather them get them all right and really,
Exactly.
I also understand, like, the foundation has taken a long time to get there. But he even said to me, like, and he also said it in the press conference. So twice today he has said, it wasn't like these people were available. Like, Chris Henderson wasn't just available. David
Yeah.
Tenney, the new high performance, wasn't just available. Like, some of these guys, they keep their eyes on them, and then when the opportunity kind of presented itself, they could reach out, have that conversation with Miami, with whoever, to say, like, hey, can we do this interview? Can we approach this person? Whatever. And
Right.
they say yes. It goes from there. So it's not like they're just sitting there waiting. Like, they're doing stuff behind the scenes, straight from Garth's mouth. Like, it's happening, but understandably, like, it sucks to wait. But we might just have to wait a little bit longer.
Just because we can't see it doesn't mean nothing's happening. Is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And a final quick word from me. So now that we have Chris Henderson, he's started officially now with Atlanta United, and we already mentioned that the signings are going to start ramping up, the rumors are going to start ramping up. I have the little depth chart for Atlanta United. I did a little run through on the column this morning about kind of what spots on the roster, what positions that need to be reinforced the most. So you can go check that out on the Scarves and Spikes website. But I'll also be updating that depth chart as we go along, as signings are announced. And you can see that stuff on Twitter and in the Discord for your information.
Yeah. Scarvesandspikes.com is where you can find everything you need to know. Yes. Were you saying something?
No, I was just saying,
What's that?
and we have the actual, like, transfer track article. I know I'm like behind y'all, I think, on the website that you can kind of jump in and take a look at as well.
Indeed. Final thoughts. I know, Henry, you had yours. Tyler, anything else to add real quick?
No, I mean, I expect things it'll be a lot quicker from here on. Maybe not official announcements, but like Henry said, I think we'll be having news a little bit more often, at least rumors a little bit more often. You also got to remember the entire league is going into, like, the super draft and stuff. So, like, while they're that's not to say there won't be announcements, but, like, they also have this focus of whether you think it's valuable or not, like, they still have to try and hit on these things in the super draft and reentry draft, all that kind of stuff. So, like, they've got a lot of irons in the fire. We'll just put it that way. And hopefully some of those news pieces and rumors start dropping sooner than later, but it's actively moving.
We will leave it there. Join us here on YouTube for our holiday party tomorrow. Tommy, Tyler, and I will be there. Henry may drop in. I don't know. Maybe we have some special guests dropping in. But some trivia for you guys, some giveaways, maybe for the holiday. Should be a lot of fun. We're really excited for it. But tomorrow night, live, 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel, of course. As I said, scarvesandspikes.com, patreon.com/scarvesandspikes, links to our social media channels, all that good stuff. Stay tuned because the news is coming fast and heavy, we feel like, hopefully. at the least rumors. But yeah, stay tuned to the website. Follow us on social. So you're doing on YouTube for all the latest news, analysis, and opinion.
Just remembered, the voting is still open for the end of season awards. I have that Google form on the Twitter account. I think I also pasted it in the Discord, but I'm going to keep it open for I think another day, and then I'll probably send that out. If not, tomorrow, potentially like Thursday. So just get your votes in.
We'll put it in the comments. We'll put a link in the comments for you all. So long, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See ya.